Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. So, guys, we're up to 935 tornadoes so far this year. 935 tornadoes so far this year. Reports of somewhere between 5 and 600 in the last 30 days, and the second EF4 tornado of the season. And, it wasn't too long ago, not long ago at all, that the number of tornadoes, and especially severe tornadoes, was really down. And that is hard to believe. But boy, somebody flipped the switch, and now it's just full throttle ahead. After 13 straight days of devastating tornadoes, 39 million are still under severe weather threat in the U.S. Parts of Kansas and Pennsylvania are recovering from yet another terrifying evening of tornadoes. 13th consecutive day that twisters have struck the U.S., and millions of people are still at risk of more severe weather today, Wednesday. So, guys, you could see, this has been incredible, absolutely incredible. And, we got to, again, prepare as best as we can. And if there's any doubts now for even the people in the mainstream, that we are living in completely different, unprecedented times, then, all those doubts, they should be gone, right? This is pretty obvious that something is different. Something has changed. More than 8 people dead, hundreds displaced as flash floods hit the capital of Kampala in Uganda. And again, this is a global thing. Over 8 people are believed to have lost their lives in various areas. Over 500 households affected. Many people displaced. This planet is becoming a planet of refugees, and it's hitting all corners of the globe. And these flash floods, obviously, that we're seeing all over the place, giving you a year's worth of rain, sometimes in a day. It's going to force such mass migrations of people. It's going to become a logistic nightmare. And then we add on to that the crop losses that we're seeing. And of course, what follows, as it says here, is, diseases like pneumonia, cholera, bacterial and viral infections. So, I'm going to mention to you guys, do you have any colloidal silver? Have you ever looked into manufacturing your own colloidal silver? It's something I would definitely invest in. Oil of oregano. There's so many different natural things that can help with the times that we're in. So we have a new eruption near the summit of Mount Etna. And then this is in Italy. It's really active over there right now. 2 new eruptive fissures have opened up early May 30th on the northern and southeastern sides of the new southeast crater, producing modest strombolian activity and small lava flows. So we see some pictures here. It would take a special person to be living very close to a volcano. Most definitely, because so many volcanoes are going to be waking up now. And this is all stuff that has been talked about and prophesized. And we were talking about that, and we were talking about Edgar Cayce, and we were talking about new lands. And so Edgar Cayce described 2 ancient continents, Lemuria and Atlantis. Lemuria was in the Pacific Ocean, and we may assume that many of the ocean's islands are the mountaintops of Lemuria, Hawaii included. And perhaps that's why, because Lemuria was thought to be a very advanced, more peaceful society, more spiritual than that over in the Atlantic. The Atlantean society was more warlike, and perhaps we are the leftover culture of Atlantis when you get down to it. Now, this new discovery may indicate, now we're talking about the mountaintops in the Pacific, it might indicate that Zealandia might have been a major region of ancient Lemuria. So what's Zealandia? Well, we're talking about New Zealand, right? And so researchers have discovered that New Zealand's not really an island, but a continent. And they're calling that continent Zealandia, comprising roughly 3 million square miles with 94% underwater. And that which is at the bottom of the ocean shall rise and become new lands. And those lands that have been, basically used by humanity for thousands of years, are going to be at the bottom of the ocean. And this is not just Casey. This is dozens and dozens of prophecies from many natives and indigenous peoples, prophecies to people like Mother Shipton as well, Nostradamus, Casey himself. Just so many others have seen this. And we're seeing that now. We talked about Mr. MBB with his possible discovery of a new volcano off the Jersey coast, or at least some sort of anomaly protruding. And then we heard about the supervolcano that's forming under New England, which is supposed to be so stable, and it's not supposed to have that type of thing happen. Now, of course, modern science is saying, well, that's not going to that's not going to fully develop for millions of years, and then maybe it'll be like another Yellowstone in millions of years. But how really accurate are their timelines? A friend was just saying to me, how do we know that the dinosaurs weren't walking on the planet a couple thousand years ago? Well, honestly, we really don't know. Do we really trust NASA? Not many people out there trust NASA. Do you trust the USGS? No, obviously. If you've been following channels like this, you don't trust the USGS. So then why are you trusting the textbooks, especially when textbooks are being totally rewritten every year with new discoveries? Or trusting, other sources as well and clinging to these beliefs. We have to be able to adapt. And that's why I think when we go inside, that's when we'll feel the truth. We'll actually feel the truth. So Casey described these two ancient continents, and then he also talked about basically lands reemerging that have been submerged. And, this is part of what we're actually possibly watching happen now underway. How soon will the changes in the Earth's activity begin to be apparent? The answer was when there is first breaking up of some conditions in the South Sea. That's South Pacific, to be sure. And have we not seen a lot of activity in Indonesia? Most definitely. And also going over into New Zealand. And we're going to talk about what's going on in Australia as well. So the breaking up of some conditions in the South Sea, that's the South Pacific, to be sure, and those as apparent in the sinking or rising of that's almost opposite same, or in the Mediterranean and in the Etna area. Then we may know that it has begun. And even a timeline, and remember, Pele, Vesuvius, Etna, those are keys, because when we see that stuff cranking at the same time, then it's only a matter of months before we have the major changes that will hit Japan and hit the West Coast, and then change Northern Europe in the twinkling of an eye, according to his visions and what he shared. And so this is really fascinating. Really fascinating. About 2/3 of all worldwide deep quakes are located in this area, the ones that he's talking about here. And especially over here towards Indonesia. The Indo-Australian plate rides over the subducting Pacific plate at the Tonga Trench. Casey appears to be saying that will first be breaking up in the South Pacific, followed by some land sinking and some land rising in around Etna and the Mediterranean Sea. In this area, the Mediterranean is under great pressure from 4 tectonic plates: the Eurasian, the Adria microplate, Anatolia, and the African. The plate edges run up along the eastern shore of the Adriatic, crossing Serbia, Croatia, Slovenia, and around the Italian Alps, and down the east coast of Italy into the Mediterranean, crossing Sicily into North Africa. And so, this is fascinating to see all this. And, this is just a glance at some of this is a really cool little blog here that's put together a whole bunch of maps. And of course, we've had people, like I had one lady that made the mention that, don't you know Nevada and Utah over here is like thousands of feet high? How is it going to be underwater? Well, plates can subduct. And the thought is we have a massive pole shift going underway. And, there are sources that say that we have lost tremendous amounts, way more of the magnetosphere than is being reported. So what you're going to see happen is going to be mind-boggling according to that. And, whole states might end up completely underwater. And if we're looking at this, you could see what I'm talking about. California is going to be just islands, according to various prophecies, a series of islands. And everything is going to be completely changed. The Mississippi River becomes the Mississippi Sea, and the country gets split in half. And right now, our good friend Asia is still in Oklahoma, and she has friends that are in Arkansas, and they can't get back to their home in Oklahoma. They were out visiting people in Arkansas. They can't get back to Oklahoma because all the roads are closed from the floods, the tornadoes, the damage. They haven't been able to just get across the border. And this is truly starting now. This is starting. The events are starting now that are going to completely change the map. Will it look like one of these more than others? Everybody has their guesses. Nobody knows exactly what it's going to look like. So, I lived in Columbia, South Carolina. That might be beachfront property in the near future. As we see Savannah totally underwater and vast parts of Georgia gone. Southern Florida gone underwater, and basically, again, Orlando might be right on the beach. We don't know exactly. There's different maps showing different things. You have to listen to your own intuition. But most assuredly, things are definitely changing. And here you see on this one, the new Atlantis rising off the coast. And so, this is a new start to a new era. And this is the U.S. Navy map that's so famous. And we see that inland sea that divides the country split in two, the eastern part and the western part. And right now, honestly, I feel like it's, in many people that I know, it's in their guidance, I want to say. It's not even in their mind consciously, but they're being guided to one side or the other because they know it's not going to be easy to move across areas like it has been. With the changes that are coming, you might find that you are permanently on one side throughout the rest of the earth changes or on the other side. These changes are intensifying. So it's a matter of finding where your home is and getting to it, and also perhaps being ready to be a migrant, so to speak. Go ahead and most definitely with the crop shortages that are going to be coming and are already underway, we have to try to get as self-sufficient as possible. But recognize too that it's possible that we might have to move more than once or twice. And there's actually a legend about that. And a friend was just sharing that with me, talking about how the changes are going to be. And it's like the first time you might pack up your whole house and move. The second time you might be able to fit, what you can into your car or your truck before you have to go. The third time it's just going to be whatever you could grab in your hands as you run out the door. It's interesting, to see what's coming and how Africa is going to be completely changed as well, according to these maps. And so these are from various sources, including Casey, Gordon Michael Scallion, the U.S. Navy, and other clairvoyants. Massive changes, obviously underway. If you're in an area that all these maps agree are going to have a problem, and then listen to your intuition. Maybe it's time for a change. Again, it's up to you. It's up to your intuition to decide what you're going to do. So we have a 6.6 strong earthquake hitting near the coast of El Salvador. And the earth is ringing right now, my friends. If we look at the USGS, we could see they are showing, they don't like showing much, but here you go, 6.6, and it looks to be an aftershock. They're showing 4.3. The other one that's really curious is right over here. And this is so far in on the plate, it's just curious. 5.3, that's pretty good size. That's about as big as we'll see there, and a 4.6, backing it up. This is very interesting, most definitely. And it looks like we just had another 4.4 from it. There's a lot of pressure being put on the earth right now, a lot. And you could feel it. And I talk about grounding, sinking your roots in, and listening to what the earth is telling you. Look at these on the Atlantic Ridge. These catch my eye, 5.0. We'll see some. But when we see a bunch, and in this area, the Azores Islands, be aware. Just be aware of that. There's potential there for issues, with underwater volcanoes and the like, and landslides like we have seen over in Indonesia, 4.7. And when we're talking about what Casey was talking about, look at our activity going on. There's a lot of quakes going on throughout Italy, Greece, and go look at Switzerland. Boom, 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 boom. It's lighting up over there. A lot of activity going on over there. There's a lot going on, period. And over here on CSEM, when we go into Central America, it's a very different story than what we were looking at over on the USGS. I heard somebody say it. I heard it. They said USBS. I heard that. Yeah, I mean, how do you describe the discrepancy there? Look at that. The Earth is ringing. And this is out of NOAA. This is the new EMAG-2, so the Earth Magnetic Anomaly Grid. And this shows you, the magnetism of the Earth, magnetic anomalies. And as we were talking about before, certain rock strata is more conductive electromagnetically than others. And we know about the South Atlantic anomaly. The poles are shifting rapidly. And honestly, I heard info that, is not being put out in the public's ears, but, that it's shifting so fast. We have nothing officially on it, really, when they're giving us real numbers. But it's shifting much faster than anticipated. And, we've been looking at 2024, 2025, and, again, as far as being key years, this whole situation is most definitely a fluid one. And here you see again, this is a flat map of the anomalies as far as the geomagnetic anomalies going on, which affect the weather, they affect volcanism, they affect everything, really. And so over here we have massive brush fires burning, and this is down in Florida. And some areas, like all of South Carolina right now is under a no fire warning, as far as no campfires, things like that, because some areas are not saturated with water. So this is part of what we have going on. Completely different patterns are developing, all related really to the upper wind patterns and the jet stream. Australia's polar blast continues to topple cold and snow records across the southeast, with the entire continent forecast to be engulfed in the coming days. And Aussie and Tasmanian lamb prices hit record highs due to drought and shipping delays, shifting weather patterns. And I went food shopping yesterday, and it was shocking. Some of the prices were getting pretty incredible. And it's starting. This is part of the next cycle of things. And as we keep talking about all these disclosure items coming out, 30 homeless binary stars spotted drifting into the void outside of any known galaxy. So what are they doing? Are they in love? Are these binary stars in love? Is there a chemical reaction going on between them, a magnetic reaction? There most definitely is. And all the stars, as many of you guys now recognize, they're all beings. They're all consciousness on some level. And it's fascinating, as we've talked about it before, and I'm going to do another video just entirely on the technology that advanced civilizations can have to actually move complete stars and solar systems into better areas for them, or just to find a new home. And perhaps that's what's going on here, or perhaps it's part of the stars' wishes themselves, because they are still consciousness. And there's so many things that science has purposely not explained, because it would change the way we view the universe completely. And of course, they want us to look at it as a Newtonian clock. and not recognize, what so many like Planck and others have shown, that, this universe responds to consciousness, and it's all about consciousness. And so, there's a lot of things that, they come across as being perplexed and they can't explain it. And many of them can't, but there's others in the know that understand exactly what's going on. The tendency for order to emerge from chaos was hidden in the most fundamental equations of fluid mechanics. The more we study quantum physics, the more fascinating the world becomes, but also the more spiritual, dare I say it. And we were talking about that yesterday. I was talking to a friend about that. And the fact that at some point, science and spirituality will come to the common ground, and then we'll have more truth than we've ever had. And this is really just fascinating how we're discovering how these things happen. And the more we look at it, order is part of the whole equation with the manifest world. And it does emerge from chaos. And the legends talk about that. There's so many spiritual traditions that talk about that. And why is that? It's a top-down system. It's not a bottom-up system. It's a top-down system. So the order comes out of the higher dimensions, higher vibrations, and emanates from those spheres down into what we call our 3D reality. Kansas City refuses to let veterans stay homeless, builds them their own town for free. Now you're talking. After 2 years of planning, a group of homeless veterans in Kansas City, Missouri will finally have a place to call home. The Veterans Community Project built 13 tiny homes consisting of 4 family units and 9 single units, all fully functional. Not only will these veterans have a place to call home, but they will also have access to classes on how to manage finances, cook, stay healthy, and overcome substance abuse. Beautiful. For these people that in so many instances they thought they were doing themselves and the country such a beautiful service, and then being sent off to these wars where I've had so many of my brothers tell me, I thought I was going off to fight for freedom, and I realized it was just about profits. It was just corporate. It was more corporate. You're putting on a different suit. Instead of putting on a suit with a business tie, you're still putting on a corporate suit. It might not look like it. It might look like a uniform, but that's the bottom line. It's time to take care of everybody, the veterans and everybody. It's time to band together. And I don't think we need governments to do that. We can do it on our own. And there's so many beautiful foundations, and thanks, Deborah, for this link, such as this. And so this is Phoenix Voyage, Inspiring Solutions for a Better World. There's so many organizations popping up left and right that want to change things. They want to change things. People want to change things. And so, we don't have to start our own corporations to do it. Some might choose to do it. We could do it in our own way, but we can change the structure of this world. And if you're listening to this video, this is part of your destiny and your purpose. And you know it, or you might not know it yet, but you will know it. Cure for hunger, global solution. And so this is super cool too. This is basically 10 cities. Right? They're going to try to feed 870 million hungry people fresh drinking water, fruits, veggies, and fish safely and securely located inside these domes, because we might have to build severely strong domes, and we want to use the dome shape because the dome shape is the strongest shape in nature to withstand the winds, the tornadoes, everything that is upon us and everything that is coming. We're going to have to create these biodomes in order to secure safe places to live, and then also places to grow food. And with something like this, we could basically grow food anywhere. So I encourage you guys to look into this too. And I'm just including these in here because we got to think out of the box. Greenhouse in the Snow. Welcome to Greenhouse in the Snow, located in Alliance, Nebraska. And I've talked about this before. And, this Kirsten Dirkstead is awesome. I love her channel. She does great things going around and showing alternatives. And this 85-year-old gentleman is an idol. He's awesome, and he is growing more beautiful citrus in Nebraska that's growing in Florida. And he's doing it geothermally for like pennies a day. Pennies. We don't need to starve to death. We can do this. Our governments can do this en masse. We could get through these times. I truly think we could get through these times and come out on the other side far stronger, far more united, with advances in technology that would make war obsolete. There's just going to be no need to think about taking your neighbor's stuff when you could work together and provide things en masse anywhere. Up in Alaska, which is going to change because Alaska is getting warmer. Anywhere, you name it, we can grow things. I mean, you could have these type of things even God knows where, and producing so much food, so much abundance. It's a beautiful thing. So I encourage you guys to check out that video as well. So my friends, as always, like, share, subscribe. Please do click the bell. Join our family. Help us to reach more people. Spread the hope, because we do have great hope. Because ultimately we're going to come out of this a united people. And there's going to be a new golden age that emerges on the planet as we move from this past dark system into one of unity, brotherhood, sisterhood, love, and light. God bless, my friends. Namaste.